Ladies and gents, boys and girls, welcome on this Monday afternoon, September the 30th, 2024. This is the Monday Power Hour call-in show, taking your questions, your comments, your calls, 803-500-1485. That's 803-500-1485. And yes, I know that normally we are chatting earlier in the day, noon Eastern, 11 a.m. Central, but because of events in and around the state of South Carolina, as I'm sure you guys are well aware of, we are dealing with the after effects of a hurricane, tropical storm, however you want to label it. This morning it was a little bit hectic for yours truly because, as you can see, I am not in my normal setup. SEC Unfiltered HQ is currently, like many, many others in the state of South Carolina, without power. So we are in a different location, but still the show goes on. And again, I want to say thank you to each and every single one of you for tuning in, your love, your support. Again, there's a lot to discuss, lots to get into, which is hence why I moved the show. We did not cancel the show. We moved the show and wanted to make sure we gave you guys an opportunity to be part of everything here on this Monday on SEC Unfiltered. Again, taking your questions, your comments, and your calls as well at 803-500-1485. I know it's a random time, so hopefully many of you are still able to call in. Would love to hear from you. Again, your thoughts on what was an electric, and I mean an electric Week 5 of the 2024 college football season. I mean, guys, unreal from start to finish. Truly. Had a blast, man. Had a blast. Obviously, yours truly in Tuscaloosa, taking in what I think would safe to say it's the game of the year in the SEC, the game of the year in college football, really, when you think about it. So anyways, guys, want to hear from you. Even if you can't call in, you can leave us your thoughts, your comments, YouTube, Facebook, X, wherever you might be watching this or consuming this. You can leave us your thoughts, your comments there, and we will get to those. Really quickly, I see somebody just tried to call in really quickly before I do that. I see Justin Langford commenting and saying, "What's up, Chris? Hope y'all doing well. Praying for the entire Southeast." Boomer Gooner says the same thing. Thoughts and prayers to you all in the Kane-affected zone. Yeah, I wanted to start there. I mentioned this yesterday morning on our Sunday Fun Day live show. I want to mention it yet again because, guys, I was in the state of Alabama all weekend, and I hate to say that I was out of sight, out of mind, but we were just really going nonstop with the tour and being there for the game. And so, your mind is kind of elsewhere, right? But so many are affected across the Southeast. I want to say, number one, and we're doing research on our end as well, but if anybody has, any good charities or any good ways to help out in the efforts to, again, help those in need that are affected by the hurricane, by the tropical storm, please send them our way. Please let us know. We'd love to help and be a part of that. There's some things we're working on behind the scenes in regards to partnering up with some folks for different efforts to help out those folks. But I do want to take a moment to send out prayers and let folks know that we're thinking about them. Folks, especially, guys, because you're hearing it on the news, Florida obviously affected, Georgia affected, my hometown of North Augusta, South Carolina, and Augusta, Georgia. The CSRA got hit really hard. Here in the upstate of South Carolina got hit hard. But Western North Carolina, if you can't do anything else but pray for those folks in Western North Carolina. Some places that I'm really fond of and that I love dearly, and places that I've traveled to and vacationed to and will continue to do so. Places like Beach Mountain, Sugar Mountain, Banner Elk, Boone, North Carolina, Blowing Rock. And then, guys, that's not even like the smaller towns and the smaller communities that some of them have virtually been washed away by the flooding and the storm. Asheville's essentially like underwater, at least some parts of it. So if you can't do anything else, man, I do want to take a moment and just say, our thoughts and prayers are with you, and at least send your thoughts and your prayers to those up there, man, in Western North Carolina and the Appalachians. Again, I love Appalachia. I was in Boone 2 weeks ago with the App State game. I was rocking an App State shirt on this show last week, and I think a lot of times the Appalachians can be forgotten for whatever reason. It's one of the most beautiful parts in the country, man. Just make sure you keep those people in your thoughts and prayers, man, because there's some people going through some really serious stuff. Man, I don't have power. It's an inconvenience. I didn't lose my home. You know what I mean? So, keep some perspective and But certainly, we're praying for all those across the Southeast. I mean, my parents haven't had power since Friday, and it's going to be a project that takes weeks, if not months, to get everything back to what it was, if that's even possible, truly. So, Justin Langford says, I stay in Batesburg. Never seen anything like this in my lifetime. He also says, Chimney Rock is gone and Asheville is flooded. Some of I-40. Yeah, I heard about I-40 being gone as well. Again, prayers to all those affected, man. There's a lot of people, again, waking up on this Monday that they just don't know what they're going to do next. So, if you've still got a roof over your head and for the most part, for me, again, it was just, things are a little bit out of sorts. But, like, when you really put it in perspective, like, most of us probably have it pretty good compared to some of the folks in Western North Carolina that this really affected. So, anyways, again, wanted to take a moment, just say we're thinking about you, we're praying for you, and it really does break my heart to see places that I love dearly so much in devastation and, dealing with what they're dealing with. But, we'll get through it. We're resilient. We all are. We'll make the best of it, and we'll come out of this even better. So, anyways, guys, that being said, we'll get into the show. 803-500-1485. That's 803-500-1485. We'll go ahead and open up the phone lines. The phone lines are now open. If you want to call in, chime in, give us your thoughts. Obviously, again, an electric weekend of college football and a big-time week this week. A lot of big-time games upcoming. A lot of big-time games. This is one of those weekends that I will say, this is one of those weekends that we're going to continue to learn a lot about some of these teams, right? With some of the games we've got on the slate. That being said, guys, let's go ahead and jump to the phone lines here.
Robbie Davis, Zaxby's Hall of Famer.
Robbie, what's going on, man? You're on the air.
I'm doing good. First things first, I want to give my sister a shout out real quick because she played my brother-in-law in NCAA 25 and cut his ass twice.
Fair enough. Okay.
The first score was 63-24.
Wow. That is a blowout.
The second one was 58-40. The second game he used Clemson, it was still the same result.
Wow. That's crazy. That's crazy, man. I haven't played EA College Football 25 in a hot minute.
But I wanted to give her a shout out. Whenever I found out the first score, my freaking jaw about dropped to the floor. But anywho, I watched a giant chunk of the Ole Miss game because, of course, we're playing Ole Miss this week. And to me, I mean, they might get it fixed between now and Saturday. Who knows? I don't know. You never know. But from what I saw, their secondary is not that good. From what I saw, it might have just been they had an off day or what have you, but from what I saw, their secondary was not that good. So if our offensive line can somehow give whoever's going to end up being our starting quarterback Saturday afternoon some time to look downfield, I think we can move the ball through the air at least a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I would say this, Robbie. You make a good point. From what I've heard, I do think Lenoris Sellers will play. This from what I've heard. But no matter who the quarterback is, like I do not think we can. I don't think there's this. I don't think over the bye week South Carolina became a juggernaut throwing the football. Like I think their game plan's got to be similar to what it was against LSU. Find ways to run the football. The status of Rocket Sanders is the biggest thing, I think, going into this one. And I think from what I've heard, what I've been told from South Carolina folks, he is very much TBD. He is very much status is up in the air. They're not sure if he's going to go. So, you got to be able to find some explosives down the field in the passing game for sure, to your point. But I think South Carolina just has to establish the running game, the quarterback run game. Again, there are plays to be made, I think, in the passing game, but you got to establish the run first, I think, is going to be the big thing for South Carolina. So, but listen.
It's definitely going to be a good game for sure. Yes, I will be screaming my lungs out because I can't stand Lane Kiffin. I'm not a big fan of Lane Kiffin. I'm not going to lie. I'm not a big fan of Lane Kiffin.
You and many others, Robbie. You and many others. Robbie, I appreciate the call, my friend. Always a pleasure to hear from you.
You too, buddy, and you be safe.
Yeah, man, you too. We'll talk soon. Great stuff from Robbie Davis, guys. By the way, the score just went final for those who are watching and who care, which is many of you. Braves fall to the Mets 8-7. So essentially, the Braves have come down to a one-game season. They've got to beat the Mets in this second game to clinch their spot in the playoffs. If they do not, the season is over. AYS Sports, my guy Blake says Chris is the GOAT. Blake, you're the man. I appreciate you. Really good stuff. Really good stuff, Blake. You're the man. James Kendall, the more things change, the more they, who you telling? Who you telling? I want to go back to what Robbie Davis was saying because about the South Carolina Ole Miss game. It's a fascinating matchup. It is a fascinating matchup from this standpoint. This is the Juice Wells game. This is what everyone in Columbia, South Carolina has been waiting for. Since the moment that Juice Wells entered his name into the transfer portal and a few mere days later committed to Ole Miss. This is the game. If you asked South Carolina fans before this season, what is the game they most want to win, and you can't say the Clemson game, it would have been this game against Ole Miss. And now all of a sudden the Rebels come in, a team that caught an immense amount of hype over the summer, over the preseason, from yours truly also, caught an immense amount of hype. They come in off a loss to a Kentucky team that South Carolina dismantled. Now, what does transitive property really mean in college football? I don't think it means a ton. But more specifically to the environment that you're going to see on Saturday. And I don't say this disrespectfully. I just say this, call it for what it is. The Juice Wells game. Juice Wells making his return to Williams-Brice Stadium. Guys, it is going to be one of the most toxic, nastiest, hostile, vitriol-filled atmospheres you have ever seen in college football. I'm not over-exaggerating. South Carolina people loathe Juice Wells for the way that it ended, for him supposedly sitting out, faking an injury, taking the money, and running to Oxford. So there's many reasons I'm excited for this game. I'm excited to see the matchup. I'm excited to see if South Carolina can pull off the upset and continue to build in their season. And what does Ole Miss look like? How do they rebound? But I'm excited for nothing else, the atmosphere. I'm so intrigued to see what the welcoming back to Williams-Brice Stadium is like for Juice Wells. Because it is going to be, there's hostile environments, and then there's what this is going to be. And again, I'm not over-exaggerating. You talk to any South Carolina folks, it's going to be ugly. And obviously, again, you just keep your fingers crossed. People keep their wits about them and don't do anything stupid. But it's going to be the most toxic, bad blood, hostile environment you will see in college football. Again, that is not an overstatement. That is not an overstatement. The pettiness that will be flowing through that stadium will be at an all-time high. A high unlike any we have ever seen before. Truly. Truly. So, anyways, guys, 803-500, 1485. That's 803-500, 1485. Phone lines are back open. I want to say thank you yet again to the fine folks of Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Guys, I'll tell you this. There are folks that I'm friends with that aren't Bama fans, that cover different teams, that I don't think they're going to be happy with how much fun I had in Tuscaloosa. I mean, from start to finish. I want to give a special shout out to my guy, Cruz Oxenrider, at the Real Cruz Ox on X, the mayor of the city of Tuscaloosa. I'm fully convinced the best tour guide I could have asked for, man. The weekend wouldn't have been what it was without him. So special shout out to my guy, someone I'm grateful to call a dear friend, and just can't wait to run it back again in Tuscaloosa, man. That was incredible. So let's get to your comments. Charles Vaught says that we as Ole Miss fans don't give a shit if you like us or Lane Kiffin. It's called jealousy. Let's see. Dead Messenger. Lane Kiffin is definitely going to Florida. Charles Vaught, I'm sick of hearing Lane Kiffin's going to Florida. No, he's not. Why go to another team that you will have to totally rebuild? It's not happening, period. Our guy, James Kendall. I don't mind Lane. I love Oxford, but Juice personified what's wrong with NIL. Well, James, you followed me long enough to know that we have had many, many conversations regarding this. I mean, I think at this point you probably know my thoughts on it very well. But to your point, and I don't even think Ole Miss fans could argue this unless you just don't know the details of what happened. To your point, the Juice Wells situation really showed why we need some sort of regulation, because the school was just screwed. You know what I mean? Like, there was no protection for the school. There was no protection for the team. And I mean, anytime you're executing in any sort of business, this is why you have written agreements. This is why you do. This is why you have things. It protects both parties. It protects both sides. So if you know anything about the way the Juice Wells thing ended, if you're an Ole Miss fan, you shouldn't care. Like, whatever. We got our guy. Who cares? But it absolutely personified. It was a microcosm of the bigger issues of NIL across the sport. So anyways, guys, 803-500-1485. That's 803-500-1485. I want to give you guys an opportunity to give us your thoughts, your comments, your questions, whatever it may be. What were your biggest takeaways from week 5 of the 2024 college football season, SEC specifically? Guys, I don't know if y'all noticed, by the way, but last week, and this is why I love the Monday Power Hour. This is why I love it, because you never know what will result from the randomness. Because I don't know if you guys saw this. But last week I made a comment on here about Tennessee's athletic department. Okay? I made a comment about Tennessee's athletic department. And I said that Tennessee had the best, or has the best, I should say, the best athletics department in the entire country. And boy, oh boy, did it cause a reaction. 391,000 views on Twitter, X, whatever you call it. I'm going to follow up on that and say this, because again, I made a lot of Texas fans upset, and they referred to the Director's Cup. Okay? And so I'm going to follow up on that statement, because the sports I mentioned were baseball, basketball, and football. Basketball being men's basketball. When I say athletic department, my focus is on those 3 big sports. Even if we're looking at the entirety of all the sports, guys, those 3 heavily weigh how good your athletics department is. Is that a hot take? I don't think it is. Like, let's face it. You can be good at every sport, but if you're bad at the 3 revenue generators, you don't have a good athletic department, guys. I don't care what you want to say or how you want to justify it. You don't. You don't. It's kind of like in business where 20% of your clients make up 80% of your revenue. I mean, think about it. One sport for every SEC team makes all the money. It's really true. Football makes 90% of the money, if not more, for every single SEC school. Football, baseball, men's basketball are the only three that aren't in the red, that generate income, that generate revenue. So, but I will say this to Texas fans. I didn't mean to offend you. I didn't mean to upset you. You've obviously won the Director's Cup. You have. Forgive me. I feel like the Shaq meme. Forgive me. I was not familiar with your game. I didn't know that Texas was winning all these titles and all these other sports that I was unfamiliar with. A lot of the weight of how good the athletic department is, I was thinking of, again, Tennessee, top 5 in the country in football, just won a baseball national championship. And basketball, they're one of the top teams in the country every year. Like, they're good in everything. They're rolling in those big 3 sports. To me, that's when I say athletics department, that's what I mean. So, again, forgive me, Texas folks. Maybe I should have phrased it a little bit differently because Texas folks took that really, really personally. They did. So, I think if we're all being honest, though, I think that, having those big 3 be at the level like a Tennessee's got, I mean, I don't even know how there's an argument. I really don't. I even saw some Texas folks saying, well, I don't know, even if we're just talking big 3. What are you talking about? I know Texas is number 1 in football. Or they were. Now Bama's 1. But I know Texas is top 5 in football. But you just had to fire your baseball coach because you weren't meeting the standard. And basketball, Rodney Terry's era is on life support. So, like, what are we talking about? There's not even a comparison. If anybody can compare, maybe it's Alabama. They don't do anything in baseball. But, Bama favored to win the national title in basketball, and football speaks for itself. So, anyways, I just wanted to put that out there. I will take accountability for zeroing in on the 3 main sports. And guys, I do that because that's the sports we talk about. I got to be honest with you. I don't care how good you are at equestrian. We don't talk equestrian, and you don't want to hear me talk about equestrian. We don't talk track and field. You don't want to hear me talk about track and field. Like, let's be honest. You know what I mean? So those are the sports I focused on. There wasn't really I thought the banter was all friendly. It wasn't anything crazy, but yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there. Guys, I do want to say this about my experience in Tuscaloosa this weekend. And I'm just going to say it. And it's going to sound weird to people. And I know what some of the comments are going to be. I'm not telling anyone to leave their current team and bandwagon to someone. That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. But as someone that each and every single one of these weekends I'm going to the SEC Unfiltered Tour, I'm going in with an open mind, blank canvas, just take it all in, right? The best parts of each of these schools, right? And it's been a blast. Going to Tuscaloosa, though, guys, it hit different. I got to admit, it hit different. And when you go to Tuscaloosa and you go watch Alabama, and I got the peak Alabama experience. Bryant Denny was electric. Roof was off that place, jumping around. I mean, it was nuts. It was nuts. As loud as any venue I've heard all season. Premier matchup, right, against Georgia, top 5 matchup at your place. Like, it doesn't get it. The way the game ended doesn't get any better. And so, again, I say this, and I'm totally prepared for the reaction to it. But going to that game, experiencing that game, guys, my thought leaving was like, I can't believe people are not Alabama fans. And again, I don't care how that sounds. I can't believe people are not Alabama fans. Like, I can't believe people don't get to experience this. Truly. Because, it's almost like going from, I don't know. It's like seeing how the other side lives, you know? Because you think about it. Every other fan base, especially the ones that have never won a national championship or never won an SEC title, they all invest the same amount, if not more, by the way, of emotion, energy, money, time, all those things. They invest just the same amount, if not more, and get 1/1,000,000th of the return on their investment. And I'm like, what a shame, dude. Again, you can't help who you're a fan of. You're born into it. But like, if somebody was moving here from Europe or if an alien was dropped on planet Earth and they were like, who should be my college football team? Who should I pull for? I'd tell them to pull for Alabama. I don't know how you wouldn't want to pull for them. Because, man, all they do is win. And winning is fun. And the overall city and just the vibe of it all, the people were great. They were great to me. The people were great. I'm just like, it is a totally different experience than anything I've ever experienced in college football. There are, again, it sounds so bad, but like there are fan bases that will never, ever, ever, ever get to experience that. The overall vibe that I felt at that game. So again, I'm not telling anyone like, well, you should trade in your fandom and pull for somebody else. But it almost seems like unfair that the Mississippi State fan, the South Carolina fan, the Arkansas fan, the Vanderbilt fan, of which there are not many, but still, they are out there. The Kentucky fan, that they invest themselves so deeply into their teams. Just as much, if not more, than these folks who are born into this Alabama fandom or go there or whatever that get to experience it. Like, it is just such a night and day experience. Not all college football fandoms are built equally. That's what I'm trying to say. That's the whole point of this thing. That's the whole point. That's what I've been gathering over the course of the tour. It's like, you go to some places and it's this level of like, there's a lot of passion and a lot of love and a lot of energy, right? And I mean, it's electric. But there's also this angst and this anxiety and this frustration, because most college football fans they have pockets of happiness, but for the most part, it is despair and disappointment and heartbreak. And then you go to Tuscaloosa, and it's like, this is a normal Saturday for them. Like, being at that game, watching Bama beat Georgia, it's like, this is a normal Saturday. And you can feel it in the crowd. Like, they're not wine and cheese sitting on their hands, but it's like, oh, yeah, these people expect to win. They don't have to act like they've been here before, because they have been here. This is the only place they know. This is the only place they know is winning. So, Tuscaloosa was a blast. I don't know how anybody's not a Bama fan. I really don't. I really don't. Again, I'm not telling people to bandwagon to anybody, but man, not all college football fandoms are built equally, and it is just such a shame that there are some people that will never get to experience that. So if you can't tell, I had a blast in Tuscaloosa, just so you know. I had a blast. The vlog is going to be electric. It's going to be electric. I mean, and my guy Quarterback Spotlights, it's definitely a special place. And like, I'll tell you, you know how it's special? I haven't really gone on and on and on about a place like this at any point. And that is not a shot at anywhere I've been. They have all been great. And they'll all continue to be great. But, dude, when you go somewhere that's got 18 national championships, it just hits different, man. Like, can we all be honest? It just hits different. You know? It's like going, like, everybody's trying to keep up with the Joneses. I got to chill with the Joneses on Saturday night. You know, that's the Joneses. They are the Joneses. So, I don't know. Some folks will be nauseated by that little segment I just did, and they'll give me hell for it, and that's totally fine. But hey, I'm just glad I got to experience it, man. It was a blast. That was unlike anything I've ever experienced in college football. Flat out. Let's see. We'll get back into your questions, your comments. Adrian Muller need to come to Kyle Field for the LSU game. Let me see. Because my original plan, Adrian, was actually to come to that game. Okay, so that's October 26th. Okay, so I probably will be in town for that game. Got to confirm some things, Adrian, but that was my plan. That was my planned A&M game. So, listen, and I'm excited for College Station, man. I'm excited for College Station. I'm excited for Austin. I'm excited for Baton Rouge. I'm excited for Rocky Top. I'm excited for Athens, for Oxford. All of these places are awesome and unique in their own way. They are. I'm just saying that, again, when you go somewhere that's got 18 national titles, I've never been in a college football venue or experienced something where the winning is like that. I've never have. I never have. Dude, I grew up a South Carolina fan. All I experienced was, dude, I'll never forget being, you know, in middle school in South Carolina, winning their 6th game of the year and acting like that was like a huge accomplishment. I remember South Carolina winning the Liberty Bowl in 2006. Bro, you'd have thought South Carolina won the Super Bowl. I'm not even joking. Like, it's a different world, man. It's a different world. And it's a world I thoroughly enjoyed, I must say. Kyle Reynolds, would you rather have Ryan Williams or Jeremiah Smith? Jeremiah Smith's a great player. Don't get me wrong. Ryan Williams is a magician. Ryan Williams does not even know what he's doing yet. And he's doing what he's doing. Listen, you can do whatever kind of work you want to do. You can train how you want to train. But guys, sometimes it's just God-given. And what Ryan Williams can do on a football field, that catch he made in the game, you cannot teach a kid to do that. It's God-given. It's God-given, man. So, Ryan Williams, for my money, is the best. I was going to say best freshman, but like, he might just be the best receiver. Is that too far? I don't know that it is. He might be the most electric receiver in the country. And by the way, while we're on the topic, his quarterback, Jalen Milroe, is the best football player in the country for my money. Best football player in the country. Travis Hunter is great. Don't get me wrong. The kid out at Boise State, a freak. His numbers are crazy. But guys, from what I saw from Jalen Milroe on Saturday, and I know they slowed things down second half. It got a little too cute for my liking. Play calling was conservative. Jalen Milroe is the best player in the country. That first half, guys, I thought I was watching Michael Vick. Like, straight up. It was playing EA College Football 25 on freshman kind of vibe. It was a man amongst boys, what Jalen Milroe was doing in that first half. That first quarter from Alabama was probably the most dominant quarter I've ever seen from a team and an individual. I've never seen anything like that, especially in person. Jalen Milroe is the best player in college football, and I think he should be leading the Heisman Trophy race right now. The most dynamic player, best player overall in the country. End of discussion. Jeremiah Woo Pig. Dude, I'm excited to get to Fayetteville, man. Very, very, very excited to get to Fayetteville. Yeah, I can't wait, man. Woo Pig is great. Woo Pig is great. It's going to be a blast. I tell you this, if the Auburn weekend was any indication, because I went out with my Arkansas buddies, we are in for one heck of a time. How about this nonsense, by the way, if you're a Braves fan? Braves scratch Chris Sale with back spasms. Set to start Grant Holmes in second game of doubleheader. It's just when it rains, it pours. When it rains, it pours. When it rains, it pours. Unreal. Let's see. Again, guys, 803-500, 1485. That's 803-500, 1485. If y'all like it, we could move this show to the afternoons. Doesn't have to be noon to 1. Could move it to the afternoon. Excuse me. That doesn't typically happen on air. Woo! The sneezing. Let's see. Adrian Muller says, when Ryan Williams decommitted from Bama, A&M went all out to get him. Now I understand the hype. Yeah, kid, well worth it. Well worth it. I mean, it's just he's a specimen, man. They don't make him like that. They just don't make him like that. I mean, he is really, truly, genuinely a specimen. So, I mean, there's some guys that get probably more hype than they deserve. Ryan Williams is not. He really is that dude. He's him. Ryan Williams is him. Ryan Williams truly is him. And Jalen Milroe is him as well. Matt Beard, go Tigers. What's up, man? Listen, I don't think it's a secret, Matt. Maybe I don't know if you knew. I don't think it's a secret, though, because I've been asked so many times about Red River. Are you coming to Red River? Are you coming to Red River? And the reason we're not going to Red River, Matt, is because we will be in Baton Rouge next weekend for LSU Ole Miss. Cannot wait to get down to Baton Rouge. Getting down there, Matt, actually next Thursday. I'll be down there next Thursday, staying through Sunday. We're hitting Pyran's for dinner on Friday night. Going to hit the town after. Oh, it's going to be a beautiful time. Beautiful, beautiful time. Absolutely beautiful. So, Arkansas this weekend, can't wait. Going to be great. Everywhere we've been, man, the people have been awesome. Columbia was a bit of a mix. Columbia was probably the most uncomfortable I've been in a game, but that's okay. I mean, it is what it is. Comes with the territory, I guess. But, I love the folks in Columbia, but I definitely dealt with some. I will not have a stop where I deal with more nonsense. I'll put it that way. More nonsense. I doubt anybody makes up a rumor that I got jumped the morning of the game anywhere else I go. So, really excited, though, to experience Baton Rouge at night. I mean, that's going to be incredible. So, just to give you guys an idea, here's the plan. Arkansas this weekend. Baton Rouge next weekend. Third Saturday in October, Tennessee, Bama the following weekend. And then the following, as Adrian was pointing out, maybe, just maybe, we will be at Texas A&M for A&M LSU. So, I got John Rice in the building. What's up, John? Great to see you, brother. Great to see you. You missed the Robbie Davis call. You missed what was so funny about it, John, too, since I know you're tuned in now. What was so funny about it is I'm kind of in a sentimental moment. Hey, pray for the folks of Western North Carolina, man. Pray for everybody in South Carolina, Georgia, Florida. We're just coming out of that, And then Robbie Davis's first words are, shout out to my sister for winning this game on EA College Football 25. Final score was 60-23. And I'm just like, congrats. Congrats, whatever. No, I love Robbie. He probably didn't know where I was at in my conversation. But I thought it was funny. John says, Giga Maggies. Yeah, how about A&M's big win over Arkansas? I just death taxes and A&M. Honestly, it was as simple as that's why I chose A&M. They just own the series, man. I mean, it becomes a mental thing at that point. You start believing like, well, the bad thing is going to happen to us. Probably, more than likely, the bad thing is going to happen to us. So, Cody says, Chris is living every SEC fan's dream. Can't wait to see you in Knoxville. It's funny you say that, though, Cody, because I don't think every SEC fan would want to do this. I think there's some folks that just like hate the opponents so much. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. But nah, man. I mean, to your point, Cody. Yeah, I'll be there third Saturday in October. Obviously, again, that hasn't been officially announced. We keep the schedule open just in case anything changes. Although I will say next weekend, LSU Ole Miss. That is 100%. I mean, I've already bought my plane ticket. That's as locked in can get. But the plan will be third Saturday in October. We'll be there for Tennessee, Bama. That will be. I mean, that'll be kind of like going to Bama, Georgia, like with the atmosphere and the environment and everything. Yeah. So looking forward to that. Going to be a great time. I got a lot of buddies that still live in Knoxville. We'll probably be crashing with them for that game. The Knoxville Rippers. And it'll be cool, by the way, Cody. It'll be really, really cool to go back to the place where really the inspiration for SEC Unfiltered started. I mean, listen, who knows what may have happened? Maybe things happen exactly the same, but I'm a believer that everything happens for a reason. So when I went up there, and I'll tell this full story the week of the game or whatever, probably on the vlog too of that week. But, when I went up there in March of 2022 and all the Knoxville homies were showing love, and I was a South Carolina entity at that point, they did not have to be friendly to me. They did not have to, they did not have to embrace me, and they did, and essentially were encouraging me like, hey, man, if it works for, if it works for, South Carolina, why can't it work? You should make a Tennessee version of this and this version, that. And that really got the wheels turning, So I got a lot of love for the folks in Knoxville, a lot of love for the Tennessee fans. And they interact with our stuff and engage with our stuff as much as anybody out there. So I can't say thank you enough to those folks. Let's see. Let's keep going through these. Matt Beard. Did you notice the difference in defensive play without Harold Perkins? Perkins just doesn't fit in this defense. To be fair, he hasn't been used correctly since his freshman year. Matt, I got to be honest with you, Matt. I did not watch the South Alabama game. I saw some highlights, but I did not watch it. I will say, though, Matt, talking to LSU folks, they seem to feel really, really confidently that losing Harold Perkins is not going to affect the defense. They seem confident. They seem confident that I was even told he's a positionless player. He's a positionless player. It can happen. It can happen, I will say. Jeremiah, will there be an unbeaten team in the SEC this year? Will there be an unbeaten in the SEC? I tend to lean no. Jeremiah, and it's not because Alabama is not a fantastic team. It's not because Texas isn't a fantastic team. It's not because Tennessee isn't a fantastic team. But there is so much parity and so much unpredictability. I think Texas has the best shot. If anybody's going to go undefeated, I think Texas has the best shot. I think their schedule is most conducive. Alabama's still got a really, really tough slate. Tennessee's still got a really tough slate. I mean, Texas has got a tough slate, but it's a lot more manageable than some of the others I just mentioned. I mean, they've got the home game against Georgia, right? They've got Red River. I mean, what is Oklahoma really? They haven't been great. So they've got Red River, they've got Georgia, and then they got A&M in College Station to close the year. Texas is a better football team, at least right now, and I don't see it changing, than Texas A&M. So if anybody's going to go undefeated, I think it's Texas. Does anyone go undefeated? I'll say no. I think everybody's going to lose a game. But if anybody's going to do it, I think it's Texas. I just think the schedule works out. Justin Langford, I want to say something to this real quick. He says, sorry you had a mediocre time at Columbia. You're going to have haters, but I still liked how you dealt with us fans. I did not have a mediocre time at Columbia, Justin. I can tell you that right now. I had a blast in Columbia. I had a blast. Now, did I deal with some headache that I won't deal with anywhere else? Sure. But just like my entire career, the love far outweighed the hate. I mean, dude, I walked into Gamecock Park and was swarmed for pictures and stuff. People wanting to interact and get the love far outweighed the hate. It did. It did. You know, so I don't want to make it seem like, well, my time was less. My time was a blast. My time in Columbia was a blast. So I apologize if I made it seem like otherwise. My time was a really good time in Columbia. And the game was great, which also helps it out. Joel says, do you agree with players sitting out if colleges are not fulfilling their promises to players? And, of course, we're referencing what's happened at UNLV over the last week or so. Do I agree with players sitting out if colleges are not fulfilling their promises to players? Yes. Yes, I do, and I feel even somewhat icky saying that, but, guys, here's the thing. Your eligibility is all you got, right? It's all you've got. So right now we have any sort of regulation in college football. None. We have no regulation in college football. So when a player, and let's say a collective, right? Let's just say a university. I mean, they're one and the same. Collective's an extension of the university. They're one and the same. When they're bargaining, you know, when they're talking business, what leverage does the player have? The only leverage the player has is his availability. That's it. That's all he can do, right? So if you come to a school or come back or do whatever, you're playing under an agreement and the school isn't filling the agreement, then what can you do as a player? What leverage do you have? Like that UNLV dude. Does it suck that it got to this point? Yes. Does it make college football less likable? Yes. But what else? If he's not getting what was promised to him, then what else is he supposed to do? There's nothing else he can do. What other bargaining chips can he play with? There's nothing he can do. So I don't blame the kid. It sucks. It sucks. And I don't blame the kid because it's the adults in the room that got us to this point. I mean, guys, listen, I'm an entrepreneur. This ain't a hobby. I'm an entrepreneur. I cannot fathom doing business the way business is done in the NIL space. I can't fathom it. Investing money, and thank you for the question, by the way. Investing money in empty promises. You know, like, what is your ROI? Like, it's the most, like, you talk about no guarantees whatsoever. No guarantees. It is a zoo, man. It is total Wild Wild West zoo when it comes to the NIL space. And now, you know, I think I can speak a lot more freely on it and a lot more honestly because, guys, I'll be totally transparent with you. When you're covering one team, when you're an entity for one team, right? If I would have went out there and been like, hey, don't agree with a lot of the stuff going on with NIL. Oh, well, you hate NIL. How dare you? You're hurting our efforts. When you're SEC Unfiltered, hey, we're unfiltered. You can say those kind of things. There's a lot of problems with NIL. A lot of problems. Let's jump to the phone lines here.
Call from
Adrian.
Adrian, what's going on? You're on the air.
Hey, what's going on, brother?
Hey, what's up, man? How are you?
Good, good. Hey, man, I just want to
get your opinion real quick on our little quarterback situation we may be having with Marcel and Connor. For me personally, I think we got to ride the hot hand with Marcel, you know. And the main thing, he's winning, man. That's most important. He's winning, you know, and every week he's getting a little better. You know, I know he's got to get a little better on his passing accuracy, but, you know, and I'm a fan of Connor, man. I think he's a stud. I really do. You know, I think he can be a great quarterback, but at the end of the day, you know, what's it about? It's about getting that dub, you know. And just throwing it out there, this may be a hot take, but I think if he goes out against Missouri, you know, obviously going to be his toughest match. But if he goes out there and pops off for a big game, I don't think we see Connor again. You know, and you don't take him out till he gives you a reason to pull him. Either he gets injured or, you know, he has a couple bad games. But I think you got to leave him in there.
I think to your point, Adrian, when it comes to this has been like one of the hot talking points in the SEC, obviously, of the last couple of weeks. What do you do with the quarterback situation? Marcel Reed, Connor Wigman. You have to make Marcel Reed give you a reason to take him out. I think, you know, Marcel Reed, we've talked about it a lot. Better fit for what Colin Klein wants to do offensively. Connor Wigman, probably the overall better quarterback, just speaking in overall terms. But what you just said, he's not doing anything to lose you games, and you're winning. And I just think while that's taking place, and again, he's got a nice skill set, right? He's getting better, it seems, as if every single week. I mean, he's 50% completion percentage, but he threw for 163, 2 touchdowns, no picks, didn't turn it over, right? Also ran for a touchdown. So I think the only way you take out Marcel Reed, because I've seen the question a lot, Adrian, of you know, at what point do you bench him and put Connor Wigman in? Like, how do you do that? Do you start him in a game? Do you insert Connor in the game? I think you have to continue to do what you've been doing. As you said, ride the hot hand, and you don't take him out until Marcel Reed gives you a reason to do so. Because I think if you just bench him and you put Connor Wigman back in, I don't like the message that sends to the football team. And you hate for a guy to lose his starting job because of injury, but welcome to the SEC where that very well can happen, especially when the next guy comes in and you didn't look so great in your first start. The next guy comes in and you're winning games. So I think this is a situation that'll work itself out. I don't think you have to force the issue and, you know, make a move that you don't have to make. But while Marcel Reed is protecting the football, playing well, being a dynamic playmaker back there, and he's not losing you football games and you're winning as a team, Adrian, to your point, I think you got to continue to ride the hot hand. I would continue to ride Marcel Reed, trot him out there. You got a good thing going. You seem to be getting better each and every single week. That's how I'd handle the quarterback situation. Now, again, you know you got Connor Wigman waiting in the wings, but you got to continue to ride Marcel Reed and keep him in there until he gives you a reason to take him out, until he gives you a reason to bench him and go back to Wigman. So that's how I would operate with it. That's, you know, again, like you mentioned, the most important stat is the W, and he's doing nothing to lose games. So, you know, that's where I'd go with it. And we'll find. Look, like I said, I think it's going to sort itself out. We'll find out a lot more this weekend when they take on Missouri. Which I'm, on a side note, I'm fascinated by the fact that Texas A&M is favored over Missouri. I find that fascinating. I really do. That's not me saying obviously A&M cannot win the football game. That's not what I'm saying at all. But, you know, for a Missouri team that's undefeated, I know they struggled against Boston College and Vandy, but, you know, still ranked 11th, 10th, whatever poll, and A&M to be the home favorite, I tell you, man, that says a lot to me. That says a lot. So it's going to be a fun game. That's certainly one of the premier matches of the weekend. I think that's actually, Adrian, the only top 25 matchup of the weekend, both sides being in the top 25. Yeah. So it's going to be a fun game in College Station for sure.
All right, man. Just want to give a call real quick. All right, make it down there for the LSU game.
Yeah, hey, listen, we will be in College Station. I may have, Adrian, come to this one if it wasn't a 11 a.m. kickoff. That I gotta be honest, that deterred me a little bit. But yeah, LSU game is the one we've got in our sight. So we'll definitely let you know, man, and we'll look forward to getting down to College Station when we make that trip.
All right. Take care, brother.
So, all right, man. Thank you so much, Adrian. Appreciate the call. Really good stuff. Really good stuff. Yeah, I cannot wait to get to Texas A&M. That's, the Tex Ags folks are great people. Billy Lucci and the gang, David Nuno, all those guys. This game, this game in College Station opened up. A&M opened up as a 4-point favorite. They now sit as a 2-point favorite. I was surprised. I was surprised when that spread opened up at that. I really was. I was surprised. Let's jump back to the phone lines here.
Call from
Ricky Dixon.
Ricky Dixon, what's going on? You're on the air.
Hey, what's going on, man? I just want to tell you I love your show.
Thank you.
I love it. I love it. I love you.
I appreciate it. Go ahead.
What I wanted to talk about was the NIL thing real
Okay.
quick. I wanted to make a point.
All right, go ahead.
Well, I wanted to say, as far as like players and what they're getting and stuff, I agree with you and everything, but I wanted to kind of agree with you to disagree. And basically what I'm talking about is these athletes are still receiving a college education. And if nothing else, that can be the foundation of being a man, growing up and everything like that. And I think that at the end of the day, as athletic directors and all this NIL stuff, we still have to look at the bigger picture. If these kids are going to get a great education and not have to pay for it, then that itself could still be something that the colleges and stuff can fall back on. And that was all. That's my point.
And, I'll tell you this. As much as I would love for that to be an argument that we can confidently stand on, I think most people are going to push back and say that that college education has just never meant less. And I know that sucks to hear. It sucks to hear. But, listen, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that we haven't lost our gratitude. That the fact that, getting a full college experience paid for isn't looked at as, wow, like how blessed I am that I'm getting this taken care of. Like, you know what I mean? But like, unfortunately, we have lost that. We have.
Right.
And we have. So, because I think a lot of them are going to look at it too, and I know this doesn't, make total sense, because if they weren't football players, they probably wouldn't be getting room and board, books, everything paid for. But I think a lot of them would probably say, I can be a student and get scholarships, but I'm not getting my bag I should be getting for football. So I'll be a student, but I ain't going to play football. So, it's just, bro, unfortunately, man, as amateurism has died in college football, I think so has the value of the college education. And so I just don't, I don't think,
well put.
Yeah, I just don't think that I don't think these guys, I don't think really anybody at that. Like, you want to get your degree, obviously, it's cool. But at the same time, I don't think anybody's looking at it like, man, I don't need any more extra money. I'm getting my college education paid for, and that's the greatest blessing of all. Like, I think they look at it as like, that's the minimum expectation. That's the minimum standard. Like, I'm not even going to your school if my education's not paid for. And then I better be getting whatever else on top. So,
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you listening to me today. And I just wanted to make that quick point, man. And I love what you're doing, man. So keep it up. And I'm right here. Thank you.
I really appreciate it, man. Call in anytime. Thank you so much. Appreciate the love. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. Great way to end the day. Yeah, like I said, I just think as amateurism is dying or has died, the value of the college education has completely vanished. And I think also, too, guys, the other thing you have to keep in perspective and why it's vanished, man, it's really cool to get that $50,000 or whatever to pay. You don't have student loans, but they're making millions. Like, for years, they've made millions off of college athletes. Like, the TV deals are nuts. So even if it's like, we looked at it that way, where it's like, man, even if you were getting, man, you're getting $100,000 for your school paid for. It's like, yeah, but the school made $80 million off football. So, like, what are we? Yeah. And as Matt Beard says, I didn't come here to play school. One of the best quotes of all time. So, guys, we've hit 5 o'clock. Hey, this is awesome, man. This is always a blast. Make sure you stay tuned to SEC Unfiltered for all of our content. Game previews have already started dropping for week 6. Georgia, Auburn is out. South Carolina, Ole Miss is out. Arkansas, Tennessee dropping in about 30 minutes or so. And we're off and running into week 6. Guys, again, to everybody that called in, commented, thank you all so much for your love. We do this every single Monday, the Monday Power Hour. Check us out, taking your questions, comments, calls. And if you haven't done so, guys, hit that like and subscribe button. Follow us wherever you're watching this, and make sure you check us out, podcast, YouTube, social media, and, of course, our website, secunfiltered.com. Guys, appreciate you. Thank you all so much. Have a great rest of your Monday, and we will talk to you all on the other side.